So a story that makes me sad is one time I was hiking in Golden on North Table Mountain, and a bull snake had stretched across the entire path to warm up, and a bike ran right through the middle of the snake, and there was just a bike track in the middle of its body, and it really made me upset because it was horrible to see. It was really sad. So
Okay, so one memory I have is the day my mom dropped me off here at college. It was pretty emotional for both me and her. I remember when she took me out to breakfast that morning, and I just remember it being really nice and also very sad because she was leaving me for good here, I guess.
So when I was like a little kid, like 7 or 8, I hurt my hand, and I had to go to the doctor a lot. And one time, my dad found a wild parrot outside of our door, and this bird was like my dad's best friend, like shower with him and everything. And then one day when he was taking out the trash, it like flew out the door, and my mom's solution to making me like a 7-year-old not freak out of the bird running away is to just put a blanket over the cage and just continually tell me that the bird was asleep, and she legitimately believed that that would work until I was 18 and she could tell me, and it did not work.
The memory that I have, that's probably not a really good memory to have, is probably tearing apart my whole knee. I was driving back to my dorm, and I got out of my car, and there's this ledge near my dorm. I ended up jumping off of it, and I tore everything in my knee. I needed surgery, and it really pushed back my baseball career, kind of messed up my freshman year of baseball. Not sure when I'm going to be back. Kind of a rough time recovering from it, but yeah.
Okay, so a memory I have, which is not a good memory to have, is when I woke up on New Year's Eve and I realized that my ex had cheated on me. And I was really, really mad about it because I had given him like the world pretty much, and he kind of just took that for granted. So it made me very sad and also very, very angry.
So when I was like a sophomore in high school or something, I was late to class one time, and on like the parent portal it shows up as yellow, so all the days are gray, and then a late class is yellow. And my mom was looking at it, and she thought I had like ditched a whole day of school because she like doesn't read and doesn't know how to use technology, just makes these assumptions. And she was like mad at me, and she was like already pissed. So she drives to school in the middle of the school day, and I'm taking an exam, like doing my stuff. She calls me out of school, and then I sit in the car with her in the parking lot for an hour, and she just yells at me about this, that, and the other thing, like completely irrelevant tangents, like you suck at this, I hate you. And then she said, okay, go back into school. And I was like, okay.
Alright, so one time I was driving out of Old Town, and I thought I was in the left turning lane, and then I kept going straight, and some guy almost crashed into me, and I kept going. He like almost hit me, blah blah blah, and then we were going down, and we were turning onto Mulberry, and he almost hits me again and pulls up next to me and rolls down his window and is like telling me to go fuck myself and flipping me off and stuff. And yeah, I've never been more scared or embarrassed in my life, so.
One of the most important memories for me is when every day my grandma and grandpa would pick me up from preschool and kindergarten, and my grandpa would take me to Baskin Robbins after, and it would become a habit every single day after he picked me up from kindergarten. And then I'd spend the rest of the day with him, and then we'd play princesses, and it just made me really happy.
alright, so one time it's with my friends from middle school and whatnot. We've been friends since we were like 14, and so like we go on these annual camping trips and everything. And this last one, my friend Bella and I went hiking, and kind of just like left our friends without saying anything on accident. And then we like climbed this really tall mountain, and like I had to take my shoes off for it and everything because I wore sandals like a goof. And so I just like hiked that mountain
with no shoes, and I was just with my friend, and we decided that we're gonna get fern tattoos because of that hike.
Okay, so after high school graduation, me and my friends went on a road trip like halfway cross country. And there was this one time where I think we were going through like Oregon or something. We all had the windows down. I was sitting in the back seat. I had my feet out of the window. You know, we were surrounded by trees. The sun was shining, and I think that's like one of the moments that I really felt happy.
Basically, I couldn't see any of my friends, couldn't see any of my family during my birthday, and that made me really sad. But like particularly not being able to see my whole family because my brother was here in Colorado and I live in Washington. And so it was really sad because of COVID. I found out that he wasn't able to fly home for my birthday, and really at that point all I wanted was for at least my brother to be home, to be there for like a family celebration. And one night my dad told my mom that he was going to my aunt's house to fix her toilet or something. Like, they made up this whole story. They had this whole scenario. I heard him downstairs. I knew I'd hear him. My dad left. And then my mom came upstairs. It was already like 9 o'clock. And she was like, hey, let's go watch some Netflix. Let's go hang out. And I was like, yeah, for sure. So we ended up watching Netflix. And I remember looking at the clock and being like, man, it's really late. My mom's bedtime is usually like 10-ish. But it was like 11:30, midnight. And then I hear this garage door open, and I'm like, oh, Dad's home. And I look over to see like my dad walk into the kitchen, and instead of my dad walking in, my brother walks in.
This summer I was doing a program, and I was away from my friends and family for about 3 months, and turns out one day they coordinated something to send me letters, and I was really missing them. And I think getting those letters and opening those letters, I literally cried from how happy I was.
I'm gonna talk about the first time I ever hung out with my high school best friend, which is kind of a funny story because she was kind of known in middle school for being a very like troublesome, kind of combative person. She had a bad reputation, but she lived across the street from me. And I never really talked to her. She's a year younger, so I didn't really ever want to approach her. And she also had an older sister who I was like totally terrified of, that kind of scared me away from ever talking to them. But one day I checked my phone and she had texted me, and I never talked to her. She texted me, she's like, hey, could you give me a tattoo? And it's kind of weird. I was like, okay. I guess I can give it a try. I had like done a really terrible stick and poke tattoo on myself, but that was the only one. And so one day she came over to my house. We watched really horrible TV shows. I gave her a really bad stick and poke. That was the first time we ever hung out, and she's been my best friend ever since.
Alright, so when I was little, I used to play soccer a lot, and my dad would like, he was my coach, so like every Saturday morning he'd drive me, we'd go get like coffee, he'd give me a donut, and like I reflect on those memories, and it's like, those were true memories, you know, core memories.
One of my favorite memories is when I went to a club for the first time. It was called Scarlet's, and it's a gay club, and I met this guy off of Tinder, and my friend Giselle and I got a ride from him. And we went to the club, and he was being very weird, but he paid for our entry in and paid for some more drinks, so we got wasted off of him. And then at the end of the night we ditched him, and he kept running around chasing me and saying like, Topanga, Topanga. And so Giselle and I, we were like, well, I was pretty drunk, and we ran into like this group of guys, and some of them were like gay and some of them weren't, and they were strangers, and we asked them for a ride home, and so they gave us a ride home, and then in the car they had donuts and they were really good, and then they dropped us off back at home.